It's time for the revelation. It's time for me to share with you why I can now finally see, why I finally have clarity of thought and certainty of purpose. Now, this sounds a little bit exaggerated, but bear with me. Bear with me. So, over the course of 10th edition, and especially the last 10 months, I have increasingly been struggling with Warhammer 40k. When 10th edition first launched, I loved it. The first 12 to 18 months of 10th edition I thought were really good. And then 2025 has just felt so off. Like the last 12 months has just felt so off, and it's been really hard to explain. I don't know. I haven't been able to understand why I've been going off 40k. And let's be honest with each other. Let's not beat around the bush. I have been struggling with 40k. And it's not through lack of trying. I have been doing everything that I normally do to enjoy Warhammer 40k. I am a quite competitive player. I have been to several 40k tournaments this year. I have been to, I would say, an average of a tournament every single month for 40k. I have tried out every single detachment, pretty much. I've done super majors, I have done GTs, and I have done RTTs. And I have been doing lots of painting of guard stuff. I painted an entire guard armored company. I've been doing everything that I normally do, but it feels like as 2025 has progressed on, and it feels as the edition has progressed on, I have been enjoying 40k less and less. Now, for a time, I thought that I was just getting burned out by Warhammer 40k. I thought I played too much. But that didn't make sense. Because I've been no-lifing guard for a very long time. And I never used to get frustrated by them. I never used to... Get bored is not quite the right term, but it's not exactly the wrong term either. I never quite had my head turned by other games like I have done as 10th edition has progressed. All through 6th, all through 5th, all through 6th, all through 7th, no matter how bad Warhammer 40k got, and 6th and 7th edition were really, really bad times, boys, I still always enjoyed playing with my Imperial Guard. When 8th edition came along and the Great Reset happened, and we went from the old style of Warhammer 40k to the new style of Warhammer 40k with fixed to hit values and stuff like that, I still enjoyed playing with my Imperial Guard, and I still enjoyed playing Warhammer 40k. As we went through 9th edition, with the incredible booms and busts, where a codex would come out and it'd be utterly broken, and then a codex would, and then, you know, a few weeks later, it would get nerfed into the ground. There was no, GW had no chill. It was either OP or it was trash. I still enjoyed playing my guard. I still enjoyed playing Warhammer 40k. I still found myself expanding my armies. And this wasn't just an 8th edition thing. In 8th edition, I really got into my Black Templars and my Steel Legion. Over the course, over sort of end of 8th, beginning of 9th edition, I played a lot of Gene Stealer Cult. And I also really got into my Death Guard towards the end of 9th edition. And then over the course of 10th edition, and then 10th edition came along. And so looking back, so before we get to 10th edition, looking back, I'd never had a problem with expanding my horizons in terms of armies. And I'd never had a problem with playing Warhammer 40k. There was nothing that ever turned my head away from Warhammer 40k more than temporarily. So it wasn't that I was sick of 40k. It wasn't that I was burned out on 40k. It wasn't that I didn't like the Guard anymore. It wasn't any of those things. So I had to keep reflecting. I had to keep thinking about it. And the revelation kind of very much came to me in yesterday's stream. But we'll get to that in a moment. So over the course of 10th edition, I have become less and less enamored with playing the game of Warhammer 40k. And yet I still absolutely love the idea and the universe of Warhammer 40k. And as the edition has been going on, and especially in the last few months, I've got very, very, very salty. There's no point in pretending otherwise. We have to be honest with each other. I have to be honest with myself. I've been really salty. I've been really complaining. And the reason why is simple. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what was wrong. There was a splinter in my mind, and I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was there. I thought that maybe it was because 10th edition is the edition of loss. And that maybe it's because so many of my models have been invalidated. But that was close to it. But that wasn't quite it. Because I've been playing this game for a really long time. I've seen many of my models come and go over the years. For example, I love my Griffin tank, but I don't use that anymore. When the Medusa went away, I wasn't all that bothered about it. Even when conscripts went away, and I did a video earlier this month talking about how we're not playing Guard anymore, playing Astra Militarum, and all that kind of stuff. But even when this is the thing that really made me think. Even when conscripts went away, somehow I was still okay. My Guard was still enjoyable. So it wasn't losing units, which was the issue. I've always been okay with improvising, adapting, and overcoming. And what was interesting is, obviously, I knew something was wrong, but none of the answers that I came up with made sense as to what was wrong. None of the answers just quite made sense. A lot of them were close, but they never quite felt right. And so over the last, and I am getting to the point in a moment, don't worry. I'm dancing around it, but I'm laying the groundwork, all right? I'm being 100% transparent. So I've never had an issue with improvising, adapting, and overcoming. All of these different answers that I tried to come up with never quite felt right. And then yesterday in the stream, before we get to that, that's what I want to say. And I found myself saying things that other people had said, like, in the past, like, we need to go back to the old ways of terrain and stuff, which is true, but I'd never really had an issue with terrain at the beginning of 10th edition, so why was I suddenly having an issue with it now? Again, that was a manifestation of the problem, but it wasn't the main problem. And a great, and I actually want to do a shout out here, and I think it is a very worthy shout out. I want to do a shout out to Mordian Glory community member Swords and Smith 87, because Swords and Smith 87 has sometimes it has been slightly frustrating, but he has actually done me a great service, because he challenged me at every level when I was saying these things. He was like, but Mordian, go back and look at the old tournaments. Look at how ass the boards were. Look at how the boards weren't that pretty. You didn't even used to play on battle mats back in the day, Mordian. Now look at, everyone has a battle mat. And you look at the old terrains like baked bean tins and all this kind of stuff. And he challenged me, and he challenged me, and he challenged me, and he challenged me. And he did exactly the right thing, because what I was saying wasn't quite right. And all of the things that I was saying were just slightly off the mark. And so he legitimately was challenging me. And he was like, hey, but Mordian, this wasn't a problem before. Why is it a problem now? This wasn't a problem before. Why is it a problem now? And by doing that, it allowed us to kind of go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until yesterday we got to it. We got to it. And yesterday, Swords and Smith didn't challenge me. Swords and Smith and everyone else in chat who had done the right thing and who had been, challenging my salty bullshit, they all said, Mordian, you're right. And they weren't wanking me off. It was like, you finally said something which actually we think that's true. And it's not just hyperbole or grognardy or memberberry filled or rose tinted glasses filled nostalgia. You've actually said the thing which we 100% agree with, or 90% agree with. Let me take you through my armies. I have a Genestealer Cult Neophyte Horde. I built it in 8th edition. And the idea was I used to run what was called Hive. I think they were called Hive Lords or Hive Swarm. And the whole thing is that they were not all the mutant melee guys, but they were not the elite like Genestealers and stuff and the Aberrants. But the idea is that it was a swarm of dudes. It was very guard-esque. That playstyle has not been viable, realistically viable, for most of 10th edition. Now, GSC had a little bit of a horde thing going on, but Games Workshop just nerfed it. And now it's not a thing anymore. My next army that I want to talk about is my Tyrannid Swarm. I own 360 Tyrannid, Termagants, and Hormagaunts. I can only use a maximum of 240 of them. And actually, no, I own 240 Termagants. I can only use 120 of them. Now, I also have my 120 Hormagaunts, but the unending swarm tactics of the Tyrannids, they've been nerfed. They don't work anymore. Ironically, the unending swarm has an end. It only comes back once. So that army, that way that I like to play, doesn't work anymore. Then we get to my Black Templars. My favorite way of playing my Black Templars is Crusader Tide. It's Black Tide. Now, at the beginning of 10th edition, that was a viable playstyle. But now, it's been pretty much completely invalidated. And it's making a slight comeback with the... It's making a slight comeback with the codex, but only slight. Let's go over to my Scion army. I love running pure Scions. I love running like pure infantry Scions. Deep striking down, proper like swarm of like special forces dudes. I love that. That doesn't work anymore. And then we get to my Death Guard. My favorite way of running Death Guard. I own 180 Death Guard infantry. I used to at the end, if you go back and look at my 9th edition battle ports at the end, I used to love running big swarms of Plague Marines. I can't do that anymore. Maybe it's making a bit of a comeback, but that doesn't seem that's not really. Plague Marines marching across the board, taking punishing fire. That doesn't really work anymore. And then we get to the Imperial Guard. Those are all the sideshows. Those are all the accoutrements. Those are all the armies which I've built with a particular play style in mind. And every single one of the... Whenever I needed a palette cleanser, I used to army hop into another army. And every single one of my other armies has basically been nerfed to unusability. You want a good example? I was going to do a Green Tide army. It never got off the ground. Because Green Tide, before I even got a chance to really start the project, got nerfed into unusability. There's an army that I never even managed to start. And then we get to the Imperial Guard. So as 10th edition has gone on, I have basically just almost been forced into just playing the Guard, which isn't a bad thing because I like playing the Guard. But the reason why I've been forced into playing the Guard is because my Guard is an army which has infinite flexibility because I've been collecting it for 20 years and I've got every single unit basically. Not quite, but I've got like 90% of every single unit. But the issue is that I like my go-to way of playing Guard is a very specific way of playing Guard. The way that gives me great personal enjoyment. And that is playing Infantry Guard. Foot Guard. Not fuck. Foot Guard. The Infantry Corps! What? Why do we say that every single time on the battle reports? The Infantry Corps! Because every day in the Corps, it's like a day on the farm. Every meal a banquet. Every page like a fortune. Every formation a parade. I love the Corps. Because that is my favorite way of playing Guard. And as 10th edition has gone along, the Guard Infantry Corps has been nerfed and nerfed and nerfed until we get to kind of where we are today. Now, what's interesting is you could say, like, Recon Guard is a big thing and I should be... Well, we'll come back to Recon Guard in a little moment because Recon Guard is a little bit of an interesting paradox. In fact, let's touch on that. Actually, no, fuck it, let's touch on it now. Recon Guard is a way of playing Guard that can be pure infantry, but the vibe of Recon Guard is A, sneaky beaky, and I am not sneaky beaky. I fully believe in the hammer of the Emperor. Secondly, Recon Guard it's not a flexible enough detachment. I play in the UK. In the UK, melee armies are everywhere. First thing I did with the Guard Codex is I took Recon Guard to a super major tournament, and I played 5 assault armies back to back. I basically played the entire tournament without a detachment rule. And whilst Recon Guard uses stratagems against melee, I have to say, I don't like my entire army feeling like it's only based around like 1 or 2 stratagems. I like my entire army to feel right, kind of like through and through. Now, hang on one second. So, Recon Guard, it is a foot guard detachment, but it's not a good vibe foot guard detachment. Like it doesn't quite get the vibe right. And I think another issue, frankly, if you want to take heavy, because the fact that none of your infantry can now take heavy weapons in them, you can't take nestled las cannons anymore. Which, by the way, before you say, oh well, that was a really niche thing that you cared about. I mean, it wasn't that niche, guys. I was able to take las cannons in infantry squads and heavy weapons in infantry squads for 20 years. So it wasn't that niche. It's only the last year. It's only the last 9 months I've not been able to do that. And if you end up so what you end up doing with Recon Guard is you end up taking something like Sentinels to bulk out to bring the heavy weapons that you need. But if you take a squadron of armored Sentinels, then what happens is that's 20 less infantry you can take. Even if you take a squadron of 2 scout Sentinels, it's near as damn it 20 less infantry you can take. So by putting like 3 squads of Sentinels in there, you lose 60 blokes. And suddenly, well, I'm just going to say it, guys, 150 infantry isn't a foot guard army. It's not. 180 line bodies. That's foot guard. And when you add in the specialists and the accoutrement, you should be getting up to 200 plus. 200, 220. This was the revelation that I had. Why has 10th edition felt so different to other editions when I've had things come and go? When I've had units, new units added, old units taken away. Why, when then there's been great booms and great busts and all this kind of stuff, why has this edition felt so different? What is my revelation? 10th edition is not only not a great edition to be a Horde player. 10th edition, over the course of the last 2 years, 2 years and about 3 months, has systematically invalidated and nerfed nearly every single Horde army. I'm not saying every single one, nearly every single one. I'm sure you'll be able to point me to 1 or 2 last standing, 1 or 2 last man standings, but pretty much an entire play style has been utterly removed from the game. And as someone who is a Horde player, as each one of my Horde armies has been taken away, the game has become less and less and less enjoyable. This is the thing that was worrying me. Oh my god, am I changing? Am I going off Warhammer 40k? What the fuck am I going to do if I don't like that? What the fuck? I haven't changed. Warhammer 40k has changed. 10th edition isn't just, oh, it's not meta to run a Horde army. It's damn near impossible to run a Horde army. A viable fucking Horde army. And the big difference between previous editions and this edition is in previous editions, as the lethality ramped up, because it happens every edition, right? As the lethality ramps up,
Good for you.
Guard always had
The man I am today.
a fallback. We always had a last bastion, an Alamo of a playstyle, which was Foot Guard. At the start of every edition, tanks were pretty decent, and as the lethality went on, and it became about having just number of wounds, toughness, and save, that shit didn't matter. We were always able to fall back to Foot Guard. The reason why I cannot wait for the end of 10th edition, and the reason I cannot wait for the start of 11th edition, is because normally at this point, I would be enjoying my fucking Foot Guard Horde holiday. I'd be enjoying a Horde holiday. And now I can't. And I can't enjoy it anywhere. It doesn't exist. I want to get a Silver Tide army for Necrons. Can't do it. It's gone. It's banished. It's they're all sleeping. I want to run a full Poxwalker army. What? Fucking 120, 150 Poxwalkers? That ain't a fucking Horde. 200? Maybe we're talking then. Chaos Cult. I wanted a Chaos Cult army. The reason why I have got less and less hard for 10th edition is because as 10th edition has gone on, they've killed every Horde army. Nearly, I need that qualifier. Nearly every Horde army. And I am a Horde player. Who here has been part of the MG channels from when I first started doing this full time? What did I used to say? Mordian Glory, home of the Horde. We used to have a good laugh. I used to join in on the jokes. First thing I would do whenever I considered picking up a new faction, how many of their battle line can I spam? Every swarm unit has gone from being able to take 30 to 20. Every unit that used to be able to take 20 has gone down to taking 10. Everyone just runs, in my opinion, shitty, boring MSU spam. And I've never run MSU spam. So, now that we know what the problem is, yeah, we need a solution. And it's conflict 47. No. Now that the first thing I want to say is this. It feels so good to finally know what the problem is. Before we even get into the solution of what we're going to do about it, guys, knowing is half the battle. It feels like the scales have fallen from my eyes. It feels like a great weight has been lifted off my shoulders. It feels like for the first time in 2 years, I can finally see. I no longer see the numbers. I just see blonde, brunette, redhead. I feel like, I don't mean this in like a wanky, I am the chosen one. I don't mean it like that, but now I know. And this is what I know, gentlemen. GW has tried to kill every single Horde army. GW has tried to say that we are no longer Horde players welcome in their game. And I say to that, fuck you. Gentlemen, it sounds like a challenge. And now that I know what I am fighting against, I'm going to take that fucking challenge. I'm going to take that fucking challenge. And so I declare here and now. I declare here and now that we will not go silently into the night. We will not go out without a fight. We're going to go on. We're going to run 200 plus models. Today is the day that the Horde fights back. And I will be taking Horde armies and Horde Guard to every not every single tournament, to nearly every, I might want to break it up a few times, to nearly every single tournament, we are going to make Infantry Guard great again. We are going to make Tyrannid Swarm great again. We are going to make Black Tide great again. And they will rue the day that they tried to make me play meta. Reject the meta. Embrace the guard. And you know what? Those immortal words, boys. Those immortal words. So what's the first orders? First orders is just reject the meta. Embrace the guard. And start painting up infantry platoons. Swordsman Smith. Shit, like this is how I wind up rebuying the guard, bro. The prodigal son returns, my friend. The prodigal son returns. Sometimes those old stories have got some real life meaning in them. There you are, man. This is it. This is it, man. It is better to die standing against fearful odds than it is to live in cowardice. Cowards die in shame. That's the way it is, man. That's the way it is. All right, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Big shout out to Nova Drone Technologies Inc. for subscribing on YouTube. 07, buddy. Thank you for getting us close to our subscriber goal. Fantastic. I want to say a big thank you next to Eli Conan. Eli Conan, thank you for subscribing on Twitch. Not Twitch, Kick. I apologize, man. Lambast me. Kick. Thank you for joining the Kick Scripts. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for doing your part, man. Absolutely bloody fantastic. Thank you, bro. We've also got It's-a-me, Marco. It's-a-me, Marco. Thank you for the big super chat, man. This is a weapon of war. I love it. I kind of have a horde, lol. They can't handle it. That's the thing. They can't fucking handle it. They can't handle it. Marco, these meta chasers. I don't think you really know what a horde is. We're gonna find out. You're gonna find out. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Redfield, 32, Jurgens, Miasma, Try Again, Bragg, RJ, Scorpion, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Nicholas Walsh, John Stubbs, Guardian, Varney, Sword, Fish Trombone, Picklock the Forged. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.